Show tonight. We got Andy back in the saddle. We got the mayor, Peter Jennings, joining us. Maybe Jack will tap in from an Uber to talk about his flow airdrop. All that on tonight's Club Top Shot. Who it is. Andy, are you at your new place in New York, or are you still abroad?
I am in New York, but I am not at my place. We're at a friend's place in Brooklyn. Our place seemingly will be ready in like a month or so, but for now we're still vagabonds, kind of jumping from home to home.
Does that have you enjoyed that lifestyle, or are you ready to fully settle down now after a lot of it?
I'm pretty over it at this point. I think we're ready to like have a home base. I think it's been hard to live like out of a suitcase for like 2.5, 3 months. Yeah. It's like a long time to be doing that. And so pretty excited to not have to do that again.
And how was your engagement party the other night? I was bummed I couldn't be there. I was in Vegas.
It was good. It was a lot of fun. It was funny. My dad was like, are any of the Club Top Shot people going to be there? And MBL was there. I think they talked for a while. But no, it was fun. We had a good time. I was very hungover the next day, which is a good sign. But sure. Yeah, it was good.
Peter, you some snacking going on down there? How are we doing?
Sorry, just finishing up. Shouldn't be snacking. I thought I was muted. Normally it's the other way around where I'm muted trying to talk, but great to be with you guys. Excited to catch up and just hear what everyone's up to. Yeah, it's hard enough to be living out of the suitcase traveling around, but also building a company makes it a little bit harder too. So yeah, it's probably going to be nice to get settled in once everything's set up.
I'm looking forward to it. There's just like a lot of moving things happening in life right now between our place and the company and planning a wedding and all of that. Very ready to kind of have a little bit of stability.
Yeah, and I don't think we've talked to you since Fractional had its rebrand. You guys raised some additional money. Tell everyone what you've been working on and the thought behind, pivoting away from the Fractional name.
Yeah, I think like the big thing for us is just wanting to have something where we can like kind of own the narrative a lot more. And like, there were a lot of things where we'd have an idea and be like, oh, it doesn't really make sense because our name is so on the nose with what we're doing. And so we have some stuff we'll be launching over the next couple months that are not explicitly like fractional things that make a lot more sense when you have kind of a wider arching brand where we can really kind of create our own kind of story with Tessera. And so we're really excited about that. It took a really, really long time to do. Naming things is really hard, but feels good to be on the other side of it now.
Yeah, I feel like that's a tough spot because, Fractional was very on the nose. Like, I feel like people could hear that and kind of immediately understand what you guys were doing, but it was a very narrow thing of what you guys ultimately wanted to do. So then you're in like the territory of like a name like Uber, which now we all immediately associate with a ride sharing service. But when you first hear it, it's like devoid of any meaning. And so now you guys have like an immediate uphill battle to associate that with this new thing, but ultimately it will probably be a much more rewarding name.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at, is like we think we can reestablish mindshare pretty well, and then long term I think it'll be a lot more rewarding to have that flexibility and also just like potentially own the word a lot. Like, I mean, some like really small but silly thing that we experienced a lot with people like not really knowing what our name was, and they'd call it like fractionalize or fractional or fractal or one of the other million ways you could like say it, just because of how much it was just like the action. And so they already had all these ideas or thoughts around what it was, what our name was, what it was that we did. And so kind of trying to disassociate those two things I think will be helpful.
For sure. Pete, have you ever been in a ideation lab for naming stuff, or did something like Fantasy Labs just roll right off the tongue for you?
Dude, I've been in so many of these things and I'm terrible at it. Fantasy Labs was actually easy and we came with that one pretty quickly. Our co-founders had Bet Labs, which made it really like we love the name. But Action Network was almost like Quip or something. I don't even remember what it was. It was almost a horrible name. Lucky Trader actually came somewhat easy because Bales is obviously doing all the Lucky Maverick. So I thought that was a decent name. So yeah, I've been in the weeds with some of them. Some of them haven't turned out the best, but some of them worked out okay. A lot of it too is just like what domains you can get and things of that nature too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was actually a big thing for us. Is we were very early on. We really liked the name Mosaic, but like it was really, really highly used, just like in a lot of other companies, startups, and then also there were just no domains available for Mosaic, and so that was like a pretty big reason to not do it. And that was actually how we found Tessera. Tessera is a piece of a mosaic, and so it like kind of was like a related word thing that we eventually found as we were doing research. But stuff's hard.
It is. I give shout out to Underdog. Like if I was at the table when we were brainstorming names for that, I'd have been like, bad name, too generic. It's going to be way too hard to disassociate from the more generic term. And now we all hear Underdog. And I mean, I immediately think of Underdog, the company, and not the concept of not a favorite in a matchup, which goes to show like you can get to that place with even generic terms.
I always liked Underdog and a lot of it too, like they thought they were like legit underdogs coming in. And I remember when I first heard the name before the company was kind of rocking and rolling. And I liked it quite a bit. And I love it now. I mean, it's incredible. Are we going to do any Underdog stuff tonight?
Sure. Why not? Yeah. Someone actually asked that.
Let's play the freaking, let's play that high stakes, the big dog. Maybe that'll fill. Probably not though.
Someone asked.
Yeah, I've really missed
Underdog. Big Dog Returns. Let's get that thing going.
Sorry, what were you saying, Pete?
Yeah, that was someone like people saw that you were going to be on the show tonight, and someone wanted me to ask you what it was like now getting to play Underdog again. He goes, "What's Andy's view about how great he feels to play Underdog again after your long withdrawal there?"
Honestly, it's a total game changer. It's like not even kidding, one of the reasons I'm excited to be back in the United States. Like as ridiculous as it sounds. But like I've been hanging out with D's all week. We're filming our first like full season of We Do a Little podcast. And so we've been like in a lot of Ubers and stuff going around doing things. And we talk a lot about Underdog.
I love it.
He's like fully hooked. Yeah.
Greg Oden wanted to know how baked was D's when he found Tessera as a name.
So I actually found the name. For the record, D's I think is always baked when we're working.
Yeah.
And so the answer is like just as much as he would be any other day. But there's this really awesome site called relatedwords.org, which is where I found it. And I legitimately think I've probably spent like 40 plus hours on that site, just like making combinations of words and random things. And so that was how I found it when I was looking through like Mosaic one day. But yeah, last I saw D's actually, he was smoking. So
also, if for some reason you guys haven't checked out, we do a little podcast. I've listened to the first two. I haven't got to listen to the Redbeard episode that you guys just posted, but where can people find that, and how does that work with the tokenization aspect?
Yeah, so the last episode of we called it season 0 because we just wanted to we did 3 during NFT NYC as all right, let's test run this, let's see how it goes. And so we did them all in person in New York. We did one with Pop Wonder, the artist, one with Zora, and one with Redbeard, which is the most recent. I don't think I'm allowed to say this, but my favorite is the Redbeard one. I think it's really, really good. We talk about NFTs a lot, but we spend a lot of time talking about education. He's really passionate about like STEM and education and stuff, and it was a really good conversation. But so season 0 is all out now. You can find it on any of your favorite streaming platforms or on Twitter. We do a little pod, but we're like currently very actively recording season 1 this week, and so we've done our first 4. We're doing 2 episodes a day. It's like 2-hour episodes twice a day right now, which is a lot. But we had some crazy ones over the last couple of days. We just talked with a guy who, there's like this YouTube video of someone scaling the Shanghai Tower that like went really viral.
Is that the Drifter Shoots guy?
So it's not Drifter Shoots, but it's like a guy who does the same kind of stuff. I just shared the video with you.
All right, let me pull it up.
It has like 95 million views on YouTube. And so we talked with, so it's a team of 2 people. So the guy who you're explicitly seeing in this is not the guy who we spoke with, but it's like his partner. And it was a crazy conversation. It was really, really interesting to learn about like urban exploring and all of this stuff. And so we're hoping we can have some pretty fun conversations and also get some good content. He took us up to the roof afterwards of our place, like right when we got in, and he like started talking to us about the podcast. He was like, "You guys know we can get on the roof here, right?" And we were like, "No, of course we did not know that." And then he took us up to the roof afterwards, and it was fun.
Did these guys just have like a nose for it? Obviously, they have no fear. They don't worry about getting in trouble. They just kind of like know the way these buildings are generally structured in a way that they can get up there.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely recommend listening to the podcast for anyone who finds this stuff interesting. Like, it was crazy. So like the one thing that you talked about a lot is like how a big part of it is almost like acting to get through like like lobbies and all these different things that you would never think about. Where like the guy who we hosted, his name is Emmett. He mostly does stuff in New York, and he's like a big part of it is just like getting past the doorman. And like, if they ask you where you're going, having a story of why you need to be in this building, what you're doing, all that kind of stuff. And so like, that's a big part of it. And then also like, they have strategies and patterns for like how they climb this stuff and all of that. But it's totally crazy.
That is a lesson for anything in life. About 6 or 7 years ago, we were visiting, some friends invited us to the Cayman Islands for New Year's. And there was like in the marina there was a bunch of yachts and they were having parties. And there was like one main entrance point and like a guy with a clipboard. And we didn't know anyone obviously on there. And I just went up there and said bogus name on the slip 13 down there. And he just let us walk right by. So if you just act like you know what you're doing, no one will ever call your bluff. So that's how I ended up on a yacht. And then people started to get really suspicious. But it worked for a little bit. Also big shout out.
The king of that is, by the way, like the absolute king where it's been so awkward for me is Jeremy. He is
I could see that.
Smoothest. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I don't want to blow up his spot, and hopefully this doesn't get him in trouble. But like he like was like after the Celtics won the NBA Finals, he was like on the court and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm this guy's cousin," and they're like, "Oh yeah," and he was just like walking around, went in the locker room, was like literally hanging out with the Celtics as they won the championship.
I would say Jeremy's like almost to the point though where he doesn't ever have to fake this stuff anymore.
Well, that was the thing. Yeah. When I worked with him, it was just basically Jeremy and I and Nicholas, a 3-person squad at Star Street. I mean, we'd go into Red Sox playoff games. We'd have the worst seats in the house. Jeremy would be like, "We're sneaking down." We'd have like right behind home. Like he snuck into everything. It was just, when he had the hustle, he was just the king of that. And he always, it made me uncomfortable, and I also don't like doing that broadly. It makes me feel bad, but Jeremy is absolutely the king of that. Like your yacht story, he would 100% do something like that.
We got to give a shout out to Mike Robb in the chat, pulling a CSU Ram tonight and watching while in the delivery room. So shout out to Mike and his wife there, and congratulations. That's very exciting stuff for you guys. Let's
Congrats.
see. Yeah. As Greg Odom mentioned in the chat, we have like 6 months of NFT action to catch up on from Andy. We have been without our NFT and ETH Sherpa. I mean, I guess we could first start off like maybe with stuff that's just been interesting to you from a macro perspective. Obviously, we had the ETH merge recently, but as a dev, as someone native to the space, like, how are you feeling about everything through what I think everyone considers a bear market right now?
Yeah, I mean, like, pretty good time, all things considered, to be really busy and also not incredibly like attached to my computer. When I'm not really busy with work, I feel like not that much has been going on. Um, I, the Digi Daigaku stuff was really fun, and like some of that, like they're still at like a 14 ETH floor, which is crazy. Um, I don't know. I was talking with Deez about it earlier today, and like it kind of feels like we might be not investment advice, like gearing up for a little bit of an NFT run just from like people getting bored. Like kind of my theory is that people are just gonna like eventually get bored and be like, oh, I just want to gamble on NFTs more, and then we'll like. I feel like we're kind of already getting that a little bit with like the Renga boxes and different random projects that are doing well. Um, and so yeah, I don't know. I feel decently like disconnected from a lot of stuff right now, just because we just had like a Tessera offsite in Croatia last week, and so I was both working a ton but also not in the right time zones and been pretty busy, and so I haven't been like quite as like on the ground paying attention to stuff, but I don't know. I feel like there's I'm not quite as bearish, I think, as a lot of other people are.
Well, that's encouraging. Croatia, I didn't realize you were in Croatia. How did you guys settle on that as an offsite?
Yeah. So my co-founder, Nate, he is from Slovenia, and it's pretty close to Croatia, and that's like where they all go to like vacation. And so we have a couple other Croatian employees or Slovenian employees as well. And so we're like, all right, like if you guys think it's cool there and it's nice weather and all of that, seems like a fun place to kind of do our first offsite. And so we flew out there for the week and had a bunch of really good like company bonding time. Got to meet a bunch of people who I'd never met before on our team outside of like Google Meets and stuff. Got to like explore a fortress that was in Game of Thrones and a bunch of random things. It was really cool. It was fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, and Pete, what's been going on with you guys? You've been a lot going on with Lucky Trader. Clay, I should also mention, Clay, if you're chilling, feel free to hop on and talk about Knights of Degen's big acquisition. I know Lucky Trader did a space on that today, but Pete, are you feeling initial or a similar sentiment as far as things might be picking up here again?
I mean, not really. I think still pretty bearish, but I think hopefully we'll just see more cool stuff happen. I mean, the Rainmakers thing is fucking awesome. I don't know if you guys saw that, but Rainmakers did a prize. They added a Punk and a Bored Ape for the Rainmaker tier. I think we'll just start seeing other cool use cases come out. I'm pretty bearish on just the speculating on PFPs unless they're truly doing something unique. I think the macro is still quite concerning, and just broadly, the people I respect and trust are just pointing out more and more issues. I mean, the inflation thing is very real. Polarization in politics is massive, increasing by the day, which is concerning to me. And then the one thing about the economy and just people in general, specific to like speculating on NFTs, consumer credit is straight up and to the right. Like consumer credit right now is real bad. And some of the other stuff I look at, like Google searches on like how can I sell my car? How can I like all these like major warning signs about people getting in trouble are happening. So I'm just not. I think the macro being bad is very tough for speculating on NFTs. But maybe that could change. I mean, the flip side would be maybe there's a resolution nearing in Ukraine. Maybe we will figure out some of the supply chain stuff and energy issues. And always betting on human ingenuity is what I'm an optimist by nature, but in the short term, it's just hard for me to see a lot of these catalysts playing out. So I think people definitely want to gamble. That's for sure happening. I mean, I think people are just going to do it in like Underdog, fantasy football, sports betting, like that stuff is totally on the rise. I think the NFT speculation, when it's net going down, it's very hard to want to gamble there. But I could be wrong, man. And I know there's still a lot of crypto native people that love it, and I'm excited. Like I'm personally, there's a couple Grail things that if we get some more pain, I'll be looking for. And I actually recently bought some Bitcoin. So,
interesting.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think the regulation stuff still, I'd want Andy's perspective on the merge. I know you haven't been deep into everything, but I imagine you followed that somewhat closely, and just your perspective on some of the regulation stuff that is definitely more prominent now.
Yeah, so we were all together for the merge, which was fun. It was like 7 a.m. when it happened for me, but so I celebrated with breakfast. But yeah, I think the merge stuff, it's pretty amazing how much it went off without a hitch, and I don't think we'll really see the like repercussions of it for a long time. But I do think that it's like very good for a lot of reasons. And so I'm very excited about kind of what the next few years of ETH will be like with the merge having happened. The regulation stuff is weird and not great, but my kind of like larger thesis is that at least right now, crypto can innovate faster than the government can regulate in a lot of ways. And so like any regulation that happens is going to be years behind in regulating things that are not really even that relevant anymore. And it's always just going to be like gray areas and stuff until they actually like actively appoint people who understand what's happening and can act faster. And so I think a lot of that is like generally just like fear mongering to a certain extent to try to get people to slow down innovation. But I don't think it's enough to like actually get people to stop doing stuff.
For people who aren't in the know, and maybe myself included, can you give like a TLDR on the implications of the merge, why it was an event, something people were sweating?
Yeah, so it was like pretty big. It was a pretty big technological step where they basically like Ethereum relatively seamlessly just kind of transitioned from being proof of work to proof of stake, which in and of itself is like not an easy thing to do. And so like that was pretty cool. It's reduced like the global energy consumption by like 0.2% or some ridiculous number. It made graphics cards available to purchase again, which is kind of sweet if you're into PC gaming. The prices on like every high-end graphics card has plummeted. So you can now build your own gaming PC at like fair market value. Yeah. Oh, and then like, I mean, it opens up like a lot more future stuff that'll happen with like sharding and all of this stuff. But honestly, I don't think it's really worth worrying about. Just like now it's proof of stake. It's not faster, it's not cheaper, but it's more efficient, more energy efficient, lower Ethereum emissions, which in and of itself is good.
And then like for the user side, people that aren't, wrapping their head around kind of what was happening on the back end, was the goal for there to be like no difference in the user experience for someone like me who's transacting with Ethereum, that I wouldn't even know any different unless I read a news article about it, basically?
Yeah, and so like you think about if you were to transact on like a Tezos, or not, Solana's different too. Bitcoin, Ethereum, they all have different consensus mechanisms. And for the most part, it's pretty irrelevant to the end user experience. It's essentially like you send transactions to a memory pool, and all those transactions sit in a memory pool, and then there's some set of rules as to how do you like finalize those transactions. And so basically what happened is Ethereum switched out a proof of work set of rules to finalize transactions to a proof of stake set of rules. And so for the average end person, you still send transactions the same, everything else is the same. Just the way that it's kind of like all settled on the back end is different.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Top Shot Tesla, thank you for your tip. Great. So I'll always have a way to wash my money. Thanks, Andy. Yes, I think Andy did that just for you, Top Shot Tesla. Jack
My
says
pleasure.
sharding. We are E says you can shart with ETH now. Very mature audience. We have
That's true.
We got Clay in the house. What's going on, Clay?
What up, fellas? How's it going?
Good, man. We just kind of wanted to get your take on the ETH merge. We wax poetic on what a technological advancement that was for us.
I think I might be able to give more of an expert opinion on sharding than on the ETH merge, but yeah.
No, I want to hear from you too, because you guys had a big announcement today with Knights of Degen. Let people know if they missed it, what you guys were up to.
Yeah, well, technically not an announcement yet. Official word on our part is no comment, but there was a really compelling Lucky Trader article that broke today with some potential upcoming news of sorts.
Oh wait, that wasn't coordinated? Lucky Trader went rogue?
I mean, look, our fundraising deck is floating around. It's landed with some interested parties and some good coverage. So on my official PR hat is no comment, and then definitely not mad at it. It's not a bad article by any means. So no, it's very exciting, and a lot of it, once it does come to fruition, is just accelerating stuff that's on our product roadmap from a tech perspective for fantasy sports and building on our ecosystem, and really fun for us ahead of our upcoming Degen token launch later this year. So a lot of this will play right into that too. So we're pumped. Fundraising has been going well, and yeah, we're having a good time right now.
All right, so Clay can't comment on it, but I can read a Lucky Trader headline: breaking, Knights of Degen to acquire League DAO, an on-chain fantasy sports product, according to a KOD fundraising slide that Lucky Trader obtained. I like to imagine Peter Jennings breaking into someone's house to acquire this deck and then rushing like a newsie in the 1920s to publish the big story.
Breaking into someone's house. It's like Wall Street, where Charlie Sheen's like fakes being like a cleaning service and is like stealing inside information.
Yeah, so it's fun. I mean, League DAO is really dope. For those that aren't familiar, they're doing some really cool stuff in the DeFi kind of fantasy space. And one of the coolest things that they already allow for, but will definitely be something that will be brought into the fold for future plans and such, is being able to compensate like league managers and such with token that's staked on like a yield basis for like league play. So really cool stuff in that regard. And I mean, it's just kind of like continues to build towards our vision of this, decentralized Disney, and really want to be like a leader in the fantasy sports space and Web3 with, starting with KFFL this year, but just how that will build going forward. So yeah, we're stoked, and it'll be a lot more than just football too. I mean, we're going to be building the vision here, and we've had this from day one. It like goes back to our Degen bracket challenge in March, around March Madness, that we did the charity event for with the Ukraine fund. But that was kind of our V1 of a tournament app, and that plays right into this as well. So like our whole goal is like, if you're going to spin up a competition, spin up in kind of a league, we want to be the place that you come to do that and like build a whole ecosystem around that. So we've been working on this for months. It's like pretty exciting that we're kind of getting to the part where a lot of this is going to be coming together this fall. And we got some more stuff up our sleeves as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. And it kind of goes back to that thing that even Pete was just saying right now too, where, in the bear market too, there still is this collective demographic of degens and people who want to speculate on things. And yes, everyone got burned, chasing bad mints, but we still all like to gamble. We still all, I think for the most part, like sports. And it seems like with stuff like Rainmakers, with the kind of stuff you guys are trying to do, where you're kind of tapping into that and still trying to bridge those worlds. And knowing that, we can still do all of these things just in maybe a more efficient or a more seamless way with more liquidity or whatever the other benefits are.
Yeah, no doubt. I think Jennings has a lot of great perspective here too. But, from our perspective on like Knights, like, this time currently in the, the bear market, quote unquote, like it's a great time to build. And that's a very cliche thing. But kind of focusing less around the hype cycle that we experienced like when we launched like pretty much a year ago. Actually coming up, like our redemption festival was on the 22nd of September last year. So we're 2 days away from kind of our official 1 year mark, which is pretty dope. And I think, the learning has been with the hype cycle dying down. We've been able to focus on like, what is it? What do we think people are going to want to actually do in like 3 years from now? Right. Like, what is that experience? Even for ourselves, we're thinking a lot from our team. Like, my best friend lives on the West Coast, not somebody I can hang out with on the regular, watch games with, like, bet. It all happens through like a group chat, and then you're watching separately, and people's streams are discombobulated stuff. It's like really cool, the stuff that y'all are doing on Tilt Space this year, like bringing people together to watch like a stream in real time and have that kind of joint experience. But taking that a step further, right? Like, we're envisioning this environment where you're watching our teams play, whether that's like FCF or WAGME or NFL even, and like you're being streamed this like metaverse environment, and you're able to order our food from our Degen sauce brand on Pop Chew or Snapback Kitchen. Shout out Jack if if I throw that in there for pleasantries and all. Our collab
Snapback
beer, so you're
chicken
able to
and
drink
sharding.
that and all these kind of things. Damn, I'm about to clip that, right? No, but it's like this whole kind of like environment where you're able to like bet together, play together, collaborate together, have a lot of fun. And I think it's a lot of like natural habits and like a lot of things that people naturally want to do. And I think we can really offer that in a really dope way. Everything we're doing is building towards that.
I do think that's a really untapped vein just in general, whether IRL or NFT base, is just group collective sweats. There is something so powerful about that, of everyone having a shared rooting interest. Obviously, it's paralleled in traditional fandom and rooting for a team, but all having stake in the game on the same thing and being able to rally around that. And it's basically just an organizational problem at that point. And if you can tap into that, I mean, there's nothing better. I mean, I do it on a micro level with my friends when we meet up once a year, and we all like, there's a rule, like you can't go rogue and bet on something different than the group. Like we make a group bet. So we all have a collective sweat that we all, could tilt or enjoy. And there's something amazing about that.
Yeah. We had like one of the coolest moments we've had collectively. I remember like when we launched last year, like, it's funny, I'm getting roasted for Jack in the chat, so I'll give a quick chat story. But he came in for a Ravens game last year and like laid down a bet, and we had like a sweat going to the end. And it was like one of the most popping nights on Discord. Or the Super Bowl, so one of our community members put out like this whole analysis. We actually wrote a blog post on it about how the Gatorade colors would be blue. And he went back and reviewed like game film from the playoffs. And he noticed that most teams stick with one color Gatorade the entire run of the playoffs. They don't change it once they make it to the playoffs. And he had found this footage of like Cooper Kupp drinking like blue Gatorade out of a cup. And like then had this whole like, diagram. It's like the Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme, with like the whole diagram of like laying it out. Whole community bet wrote on it. And then when the blue Gatorade hit, it was a pretty epic moment in Discord. For sure. I was coming back off of LA jet lag that day, and I was so I missed out on the fun place in the bet, but it was a lot of fun to be entertained with it there. So it was good.
I mean, I wish we had MBL for this part of the conversation, because it's been a drum he's been beating. I know he's very anti this kind of utility gamification based direction that a lot of the Dapper products are taking. On the flip side, you're seeing a lot of energy and enthusiasm, specifically on the all day stuff, for some of these challenges in the way it gives people an opportunity to interact with the platform on a more regular basis. So hopefully we can get MBL back here eventually to kind of share some of his tweet storm takes. But I do think this kind of dovetails with that stuff too, right? And it goes back to that idea of all the different potentials that NFTs can take as both a collectible, but as it seems like what you guys are doing, Clay, with Knights of Degen, is you are trying to bake in that activity in that collective action where you're not just sitting and looking at your NFT on a shelf, you're participating, and that's not a bug, that's a feature for you guys.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's kind of been our approach since day one. It really gets back to like the meta conversations of like collectible versus utility. It's like threading that needle is hard, but I think honestly, just like, I mean, it plays into everything. And once we had the vision for like Degen token and like how we see this kind of playing out, and like a goal for us to be like, we're creating an environment where it's not just like people receive token and then dump it. We're like, there's fun shit to do is the plan. Like, you're going to have ways to engage with it. You're going to have things to do with it, contests to participate in, and all that's going to make sense in terms of like why you want to participate in, right? You got to be compelled to. It's not just like a contest for fuck's sake. It's like, we got to have things to actively engage. And we've been trying to, do so much of that preemptively, like leading up to when we actually have this in more of a Web3 capacity. And that's also part of the challenge. You're doing all this currently in like a Web 2.5 or even like a pure Web 2 realm, just kind of to flex that muscle and get the infrastructure set up so we can ultimately bring that into like a pure like Web3 environment.
Do you guys have takes on that? I know we've had versions of this conversation on the show for a long time. I think even one of our initial things when we brought Jeremy on, he was very kind of hesitant about the utility and the diluting of the collectible essence of these things. But now we're seeing such a move where all of the all-day energy and enthusiasm is about this interaction with it. And you see rainmakers. I don't see anyone saying, I can't wait to stare at my Patrick Mahomes, platinum card or whatever it's called, like in 10 years. Like they're excited to win the money in these contests. So like, where are you guys at on this utility versus collectible argument?
Yeah, once you bring in a lot of utility, it dilutes the collectible value. But collectibles are, they're tough. There's certain collectibles I think, have a history of having long-term value, but we've seen tons of stuff going in and out. And I think NFTs currently, a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth because there's just so much junk at the end of last year. And I think we're paying the price for that a little bit. There's some really cool stuff. I still love Dapper Labs and Top Shot. Obviously it was wild. Just kind of what transpired, but punks, some of the historical pieces. I think there was a lot of good innovation, a lot of good art. But let's be honest, 99% of what we saw at the end of last year was just like people just trying to grab money on the ground. And a lot of people got burned by that. And in general, like collectibles across the board have started to dip with what's going on in the macro. So I think there'll be another huge run at some point in time when there's better conditions. I think collectibles, there's been a ton of them that have been successful. And I think people in general are really interested in them. And especially just as an asset class, like seeing what's happening with inflation and everything else, there's certain things that'll be really cool. But I do think that was one of the challenges. And, on the opposite side of the spectrum, which Jeremy was always concerned about, which I think is valid, is like, if you introduce a lot of utility, that's what the basis of, those things are gonna be worth. So Rainmaker cards are cool. And, I think Kalish and those guys have hopes that, people will view them as collectibles and they'll have long-term value. Maybe some of them will, but broadly, I think most people are evaluating them based on their value in this game, which there's, $30 million in prizes. Obviously, a couple of weeks have gone by, so some of the prizes have been paid out, and now there's some add-ons. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in the marketplace. And there's rumors of more and more stuff dropping from DraftKings, but the value of those cards is tied to the prize pools and the rewards.
Andy, what do you think? Do you think those things have to be mutually exclusive, utility and collectibles, or is there a way to kind of marry the best of both those things?
I think there's definitely like a way to do both. It's really hard. Like, I think it's really hard to just kind of like out of thin air create a collectible project that people would want, like I could make a thing of random NFTs and be like, oh, these are digital collectibles, and like, who gives a shit, really? And so I think like, utility like sports gambling or all these different things they allow you to have more agency as a creator, I think, in the short term, as to like whether or not people want to own the thing that you're making, but also like potentially could limit the upside, like on the longer term, as far as how valuable is this to like a collector community or something, because they just see it through the lens of like, why would I own this? What's the potential like plus EV for owning it, whatever. I think potentially there's like solutions in the world of like utility things that live for a season and then are no longer utility and are just collectibles, where it's like, oh, okay, these Rainmaker NFTs are valid for this season of DraftKings, like for NFL, and then they're just collectibles after that. And so you can like kind of bootstrap demand and desire to have them, but then also have it be more like a collectible afterwards. And then like maybe they'll see a dip after their utility isn't there, but theoretically, if Rainmakers runs for the next 20 years, the first season of Rainmakers NFTs would be like really valuable. Is like how it would hopefully work. But I don't know. I think both have their place. I think they're just like kind of different.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the whole thing too about what was exciting about NFTs was the potential, all the different directions they could go. I mean, there's no utility to your physical sports card. I mean, there isn't. I mean, I guess you could have some in real life element. If someone tapped into that and I don't know about it, I apologize. But to me, it almost seems like a waste to just treat an NFT solely as a collectible, because there's potential for so much more stuff. Andy was, exploring with Fractional stuff. NBL is exploring with Floaty, like all these different things. It's like, isn't that what we want to tap into? I think to pigeonhole something just as a collectible, not to mention like so many people coming onto the site. Like if the whole hierarchy is you either have a grail moment that you get to jerk off to every night, or you just don't get to really participate, like that doesn't seem fun. And so to have people that can come in and have ways to interact with the platform without a big bankroll, to me, that's like a really good thing. But
I agree.
The challenge of that is like, it's almost like they do kind of live in two different lanes. And like, I mean, to go back to like what Andy was saying, like, I absolutely agree. But like, when you think about like something like having utility and then sunsetting is not quite the best word, but like sunsetting into like a collectible, like, what does it even mean unless there's a lot of hype around it? And then the hype is going to be about it being like a Gen 1. But we've seen so many examples where like that shit doesn't even matter necessarily, right? Because it's going to be like, if they do come out with another set of Rainmakers like next year, to use that example, well, then the cards in action are going to be the cards for like the Gen 2 version. And then it's on, I mean, it's part of the challenge with like Top Shot in a sense as well, right? Like,
well, I think a big part of that though is like just a certain level of short-termism that people have currently, where it's like, if you think about essentially any other collectible space, the stuff that has cemented itself as like a really valuable collectible is at least 25 years old. Like, what other market has had anything become a 5-figure collectible space in the last 5 years? There's like that where like it literally was created 5 years ago. It just like doesn't really happen. And so it's like, sure, like NFTs are kind of an outlier really there, where it's like, oh yeah, digital collectibles have become a thing very, very quickly. And like this niche space of like PFPs or whatever have really, really quickly grown to be like high level collectibles, where like streetwear stuff, Supreme started in the mid 90s. Trading cards have been around for forever. Even like Top Shot and NFL All Day, they're pulling from a really, really long term kind of history of sports collectibles. And so I think like if you were to have the utility for these things stop after a year or two, like yeah, in the short term, maybe it hurts their value as a collectible asset. But like I think in the long term, if these things are really valuable still in 25 years, it's like a different story. And I think it's just like really hard to know, or to like, I don't think it's super rewarding to build a really valuable collectibles project in the first couple of years, as far as like monetary reward comparatively to building like a really valuable utility project. And I think that's probably one of the challenging things.
Yeah.
Like you think about like Underdog versus, you think about like, so you have like a sports collectibles, like just, so let's just say physical cards versus like daily fantasy sports. The value of creating a new daily fantasy sports app that people like in the short term is like way, way higher than creating a new set of like an NFL licensed trading cards. Like the NFL licensed trading cards could do well, and over the next really, really long period of time, eventually become really valuable and super rare, and then they're huge. But like Underdog can become Underdog very, very quickly because the utility is much more like actionable, and it's like way easier to be like, oh yeah, I get this, I can do it. I'm happy to pay the $100 to do this thing and have fun and play a game and maybe win some money. I don't know. I think it's just like super, super different, like risk reward, and
yeah.
Like,
well, But yeah, because part of the collectible, I mean, it's so dependent on narratives as well, too, to like build that up and build the lore and the history around it. It's almost like, I don't know if this is quite a perfect analogy, how it used to be like you start a small business and then you try to market your service. And now it's like you build up an audience and then you have a service or a product that you sell. Like the latter is far more efficient. The same way, it's like
economy.
Underdog, like down the road, like they would probably have a much better jumping off point to do a collectible type business because they already built an established brand and a community and all of those things that are the hard part. And I think we did see so many NFT projects come in and they basically skipped all of that. And it's like, well, now no one cares about your history. And the stuff people would get excited about would be like, oh, Budweiser NFTs, at least we have IP associated with it. Or, oh, at least this has some like old 1990s like IP or whatever. Like those were the things we were hanging on to, but it was like we were putting the cart ahead of the horse there. Sure. Andy, I know we got to let you go here because you have a bit of an out, but we appreciate you swinging by. It was good to catch up with you, buddy.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to being back. Yeah, I'm currently very jet lagged still from Croatia. It feels like it's about 4 a.m. Been waking up at like a clean 5 a.m. every day, which is a blast. I am gonna try to like stick. I really want to stick to waking up earlier. I really liked when I was in Spain, kind of waking up before the East Coast was awake and having a few hours to get the day started. But not 5 a.m. Maybe maybe 6:30 or 7 or something, a little more reasonable. But yeah, I'm excited to be back and excited to be back in the club.
Awesome. Well, hopefully your semi-bullishness earlier kicks us off on a bull run here, but we'll catch you here in the coming weeks. Get some sleep, and we'll catch you next week, Andy.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. See you guys soon.
See you. Andy, miss you, bud. Good being with you, dude.
Yeah.
All right, Clay.
Nice.
You just sent me Tom Brady signature NFTs. What was the announcement on this? I did see there was some announcement about this.
Yeah, so this came out. They launched this would have been 2 weeks ago at this point. And I just think it's like a really interesting thing to kind of talk through. You did we've done a little like cross promotional partnership with them, which has been really fun. It's a cool concept, but it does kind of like hit that threshold of collectible versus utility. And they are offering utility in the form of, stuff with Tom. They poised to be like the season ticket. You get some like IRL experiences with him, like merch stuff, party, like whatever, kind of like a VIP curated package kind of situation. But then again, I think there is the angle that this is like a collectible, but like it's kind of challenging, right? And I think like there's like definitely like a market fit challenge with how you position these NFTs in terms of what people are expecting to get out of them versus are they a historical thing? Do they run? Are they very valuable in the future when none of the actual utility is attached to it because it was like Brady's first NFT? Like there's so many ways to think about it. I just thought it was kind of like an interesting thing to bring up as like a use case. And I don't know, Jennings, if you have any thoughts on this, I think this is like kind of a really fascinating, like positioned.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. And Brady's kind of, taking a big role in crypto with FTX and Autograph and everything else that he's doing. So I think it's fascinating. And I think we'll see more and more stuff like this down the road. To me, like the really interesting thing is these athletes, influencers, content creators, they have more power than ever. And I do think NFTs are a really good use case for them to, get their fans, communities together. And hopefully we'll see more and more of that stuff. On the All-In pod too, they even just said like, a lot of these big brands and big companies are going to be going away. The people who have all the power are the influencers and the content creators. I mean, what Mr. Beast has been able to do is just insane. Yeah. I was just hanging with my boy Aaron Steinberg, who is manager of the Nelk Boys. We were just talking a lot about YouTube and everything else. It's fascinating. So obviously you guys have been on that grind, and it's cool to see what's happening at Underdog.
Do what you love, and you'll never grind a day in your life, Pete.
You don't think you ever grinded a day in your life, Pete?
Honestly, I'm very fortunate. I would say like 90% of the things I do don't feel like a grind.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it shows. You look like you're always having fun. Seriously, like not in the bad. Like I'm being genuine about it. Like it's great. That's the same thing for me. I mean, there's been some things that I wish I would have done a little differently, but I love this stuff. And even tonight, I'm super busy, and it's just like, yeah, I want to go hang. I haven't seen Andy in a while. Hang with Pete. So yeah, it's good.
What other interesting? You mentioned the Nelk boys and any other kind of interesting insights from him on stuff that's going on for YouTube influencers?
Yeah, I mean, YouTube's cracking down on some of these huge influencers in certain ways. So I think a lot of people are diversifying to other channels, but you know, they YouTube is their bread and butter, and they've done a lot of really cool stuff there. Obviously, Mr. Beast, the same thing, and it's fun. I think our industry. I mean, you, Al, Holka, ETR has really invested a lot in YouTube this year, and I'm making bets around content creation. So I think it's definitely the trend, and it's cool to see. Like even the All In podcast, those guys have been able to, without even doing ads or anything, have been able to do some really cool stuff. I bought David Friedberg's Super Gut bars. I don't know if you guys have seen.
No, wow, you got influenced by the All In
feeling
podcast.
like actually like remarkably like it's incredible.
Feel good?
Yeah, I'm not. They have no incentive to say that. I'm just. Like, I'll show anything that Friedberg does. Honestly, that guy's an absolute goat.
What do we got going on here?
No, I got excited by Jennings' conversation.
Talking about content, Jack goes, I gotta get in here.
Jack's on it. Yeah,
I had
of course.
I had to participate. Yeah, it's a crazy world. The biggest announcement today was one that monetization for shorts is coming for
I
creators.
saw that.
That one's really interesting because I don't like TikTok. One thing, they draw from a pool of like $200 million for their creator fund, but you know, creators get 10 million views and they make a couple $100. It's just not sustainable. And so I think YouTube, right, they're just going to let you monetize, but ads on these short form platforms aren't really working for consumers, right? Like if you're watching a 12-minute, 18-minute YouTube video, you'll sit through 30 seconds of ads, but sitting through, if you had to watch 5 seconds of ads every time you watch one short, like I don't know how successful that'll be. And I saw some people making good points about like it's not necessarily the fact that we're turning towards short form content. Like people still listen to Joe Rogan, 3-hour podcast, Netflix, movie, all this stuff. It's just the barrier and the kind of baseline for quality content is so much higher, which I think is a positive for all of us. And then the other thing that happened was Knight, which is Reed, who manages Mr. Beast. They just announced like $100 million fund to invest in creators. We've talked to a fund, also very similar idea, a traditional VC firm who is allocating $100 million to creators. So the idea would be, they want to spin off and create Feastables, which is his chocolate company or whatever. And it's just a much better bet because Jake Paul launched Better, Mr. Beast launched the burgers, Logan Paul and KSI launched Prime Sports Drink. At the end of the day, you start to realize like, what is McDonald's or Chick-fil-A? They're like chicken sandwiches and hamburgers with really good marketing. And so you've now removed all that marketing spend, and it's just incredible. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think we're all creators, or that's where we will be one day. It's just some people are much earlier and creating in different ways right now.
Well, and it was like you can see how much like the creator economy is disrupting other industries. I mean, you look at these YouTube boxing matches, like you'll have some of these, I would call them like D-list YouTubers that are pulling in like 200K, 300K to be an undercard for one of these bigger ones. And the boxing community absolutely loves it because they're pulling in new eyeballs, which is then a direct funnel. Then you find out who Ryan Garcia is. And then next thing you know, you're paying an $80 Canelo pay-per-view fight. Like, so these content creators can basically go into any of these verticals. You're seeing it with poker too, right? We had the Mr. Beast and Ninja playing in a poker game. All of a sudden we have all these kids who are now interested in poker. Like, and it all starts with the content creators.
But I think that's the funny thing is, 10 years ago when I was watching Mr. Ramy on Roto Grinders live while I was in high school, like he was a content creator, just creating about fantasy. It was just very early on. And now your typical like influencer is turned into a creator, and just it's going to evolve so much. and for good reason. I think it's the future that is a good future.
Pete, does that make you feel old knowing that Jack was listening to you in diapers when you were on Roto Grinders podcast?
I remember doing the Roto Grinders shows in the office that we were at Star Street, bringing Jeremy back into the mix. What a time to be alive! One of the funniest Roto Grinders shows was with Tommy G when he had that. I don't know if you guys remember that. He had his girlfriend come on and like test out the bikinis and whatever else. I could have handled that a little bit better, but that was funny.
Well, I remember that. I mean, that wasn't even that long ago. Remember we did the RG Poker Open like the first month into COVID, and then we had that live stream going, and then Tommy G showed up at the end of the
Oh my
live stream.
God, I forgot about that. I was baked out of my mind that night.
Dude,
That was
we had a crazy run within a span of a couple of weeks. It was the RG Poker Open and the Bales push-up challenge, and it was like, hey, this COVID stuff isn't too bad. We got entertainment for days online.
Yo,
You and I
I
were
did
doing
zero
push-ups.
work the Bales push-up day. I
Tons
didn't
of
do
push-ups.
shit.
Yeah, Pete and I were doing Periscope streams, doing ab challenges and push-ups.
Yeah, that Bales push-up challenge. That might be the most anxiety I've ever had. When it was like 3/4 of the way through, he was like texting me and he's like, "My heart rate won't go down. My bicep hurts," and I'm like, "Fuck! How bad of a human being am I?" I just like wanted to gamble on my buddy. And Bales is over here. He's gonna have like a heart attack or like rip his bicep tendon. He's got to go to the hospital. He's gonna get COVID. I was playing out some bad scenarios in my mind.
I remember that was bad.
I remember I had to like tap out for an hour where I was like, what are the judges? And I was like, can someone cover? Like, I need to go for a run. Like, I had been just like watching Bales do push-ups for like 8 hours straight.
Can we go back to the judging too? The people that were bitching about the form, I mean, that was the most outrageous thing possible.
Form was terrible.
Get out of here.
What are you talking about?
I mean, look, you're looking at it from a point of view of he's doing a million push-ups, like give him a break. But for us gamblers, like I'm a believer. End of WNBA finals the other night, like they're celebrating 2 seconds left. That's a travel. Like people have money on the line. Let's play by the rules here.
How many push-ups do you think were bad? I watched those push-ups back like so many times because people were complaining. I even sent footage. I mean, the push-ups were solid. Like maybe they weren't like absolutely perfect, but he was. I mean, those are legit push-ups. He was sore for like weeks after that.
The funny thing is I swear to God, like once a month, I'll still get a mention, not me specifically, but I'll see it on either Draft Cheat or A Raven's Twitter about the form. Like it still lives rent free. Multiple people said.
So tilted. A Raven, I love A Raven, but he did not handle himself well that day. I love A Raven. I don't want that to be clipped. He's a good dude. He came in with a strong side, and I get it. I'm not naive to know that I'm biased towards Bales, and I really try. Like I pride myself on like trying to be objective and not biased towards myself. But it's impossible not to have some. But man, there was some people. The people who were betting against Bales, I just thought were just completely out of line.
Well, I was a judge and I was a Bales bear. Like behind closed doors, I was like, there's no fucking way he's going to be able to do this. And that's how impressed I was by his push-ups.
That was the first under I ever took in my life. It didn't go so well.
No, overs only. Jack, why we have you, you had a tweet today about your Flow airdrop. Some people were not happy about that. Tell the people what you got, what Dapper's announcement was to some of those VIPs.
Yeah, so I was sitting in the airport, got an email, figured I would share, hop back into the Sources game for just 1 quick minute and release the information. VIPs are getting a Flow airdrop based on their net spend December 21 to, I forget what it said, I guess May 22. $50 minimum for every VIP. I think someone said there's about 600 VIPs in the program. The stipulations to be in there are activities that would be much more than obviously $50. But it was just interesting. Obviously, the prior news was they're going to have a truckload of an airdrop to all Dapper/Flow users. I kind of figured this might just be a test for that. I think the $50 was a very interesting kind of baseline to set. I think everyone's mind goes to like, oh, so some people, even if they have a 60K plus net spend, you know, they're only getting $50. So I haven't gotten mine yet. They said in the next 48 hours, so I'll update people when so. I think a couple things. One, it was just a disaster that truckload was ever used, and I explained this. I explained this, in a tweet reply, but for most who probably didn't see that, if like it might be a truckload to Dapper, right? Let's say if there's truly 1 million flow wallets, right, which is what they claim to have.
Sorry, did they use that word? Truckload?
Yes, that was
In the
the
initial,
initial like tweet from the Flow account. Truckload of flow to be released. This was during a hotter time in the market, but let's say there's 1 million wallets. If they gave everyone $10, like that would be investing $10 million of flow into the ecosystem. For them, that is a truckload of flow. But for us, obviously $10 is meaningless. So I think like what's the expectation on everyone's mind? Even for I don't even know if I qualified, to be completely honest, for VIP. I think I was administered as because there's like special exceptions. I used to be whatever. But let's say someone has spent 100 grand net. Like, what even is the appropriate amount? Like, is it 1% back? Is it 3% back? And then there were people being like, "Oh, what about the everyday user? Like, we deserve this." And it's like, first of all, why we've talked about this before, like who deserves just money back? Like there was no guarantee you spent like with the so we'll see. We'll definitely see. Dapper's screwed, like the reaction that everyone's gonna have, because there's no scenario where anyone's gonna be happy, right? So like I'm already prepared for that. I think it was smart that they started with the VIP program. They'll get quality feedback. It'll be a community of people who aren't going to bitch as much. I probably shouldn't have tweeted it just to help my friends at Dapper out, but I sometimes I wonder if like they do this stuff intentionally to kind of get feedback automatically. Not that they wouldn't have it, but it's good to have like the full feedback before they go live with it. I don't know. What
I'm
did
sure
you
you'll
guys
be
think?
in the box at a Dua Lipa concert in no time, Jack.
Thanks.
Pete, did you get a flow airdrop?
No.
Wow, not a VIP, down
But
bad.
Pete, is there a number of flow token that not that like you would really care about it, but you'd be like, oh, that's an interesting amount that I got.
Oh man. I mean, I do like the idea of incentivizing activity, but I don't know what the right amount is. It probably should be like 1% or something like that, or a couple percent.
And so for
The better thing that they could do, the way I'd rather see it happen, which I think would be dope, would be put all the people, include the everyday person, and basically put them into like a raffle or like a lottery for like some really big prizes, like season tickets, cash, and basically everyone gets, the more you spend, the more tickets you get into it. Something like that would be interesting to me. I'd rather gamble my rig back than just get some flow tokens back.
I agree,
Yeah.
but I think one of the biggest complaints has been all these utility things, right? NBA finals, NBA draft, all that stuff is like a lottery, and they want the utility to be for the everyday. But like you said, like 1%, even 5%, like what does the everyday user think 5% of their spend is, right? They might get $30 back, so it's not that. I guess my one, if I could join into the Dapper crime party, my one complaint would be, and they didn't explain any of it, is why is that timeline picked? Because it excluded the large majority of all day purchases and then excluded all the early day Dapper users. So it's like, why did they kind of zero in on that? But I think like Dapper's delivered on what they've said as of recent. So like I'm just let it rock and see what happens.
I saw a question earlier that I meant to hit, and I think someone was saying, do you think there's scenarios where one of the Dapper projects, say NFL All Day, could win out and be massively successful while the others fail? Or basically, is it a rising tide lifts all Dapper boats? And I think part of that, you probably have to have some knowledge of the inner machinations and workings of Dapper and how much they're sharing and all of that. But do either of you guys have thoughts on that?
I would think it's a rising tide. I know we just lost Jack, but I would think it's a rising tide personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I have good enough perspective, but I mean, some of the talk or we've heard about the different divisions in Dapper is interesting, or even just think about Dapper's history with crypto kitties, right? Beforehand, so I mean that's kind of interesting. Like, yeah, I would agree generally speaking with Peter, but I don't know. I mean, it's kind of, if you told me there's a world in 10 years where All Day's thriving or Top Shot's not, or vice versa, or any of those scenarios, like I don't think it's beyond reason to say that's not within the realm of possibilities too. So
Certainly in the range of outcomes, I would just, if I had to bet, I would bet that
yeah,
they're core.
I agree with that.
Could be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. It does just seem like at least a lot of the chatter I see right now is, and I don't, obviously it coincides with football being back. This is NFL All Day's first kind of full season to kind of show us what they have. So the energy is naturally buzzing a little bit more around that. But I don't know, just the water cooler talk I see seems a little bit more impressed with All Day's execution than Top Shot's.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, there's plenty of giant industries in the tech industry where massive corporations have different divisions between like mobile and home entertainment, for example, and their home entertainment division might be thriving, their mobile division's not, and they, there's all sorts of things that happens in the same company, and like teams that sit down the hall from each other, and they have entirely different P&Ls and ways that they operate. So yeah, it's interesting.
Did you guys get it excited at all? We have Top Shot announcing the run it back, the 86-87 year, back in the years Peter and I were just
too old for me.
Wee little infants back then. Pete, do you get any nostalgia for an 86?
Born in 88, bro. We were not. I wasn't even conceived.
I was born in 87. Let me have this.
For some reason,
does it bring you back?
You're a year older than me. Huh,
yeah, Pete. In my head, you're a year older than me too, but that's just not what the truth is.
Man, I look way worse than you. This is bad. I need to keep it. I'm finally getting healthy. I've actually, the summer of degeneracy. If we can just pivot on something real quick, this is cool. But that Huberman alcohol podcast really kicked my ass in gear. Down 6 pounds, not that much, but
nice.
6 of my 20. I'm gonna try to get back to like 170. I almost got up to 190, which is there's 2 times I've almost been 190. One was for the gambling Olympics when I was also being a total gen, and then the end of the summer, too many meals out. But yeah, the drinking thing, no drinking feels pretty good. It's a lot easier too because Ashley's pregnant, but.
That is, but like, and you do so many like social and quasi business social things that
don't say quasi. I do tons of business things.
Pete, they're fucking quasi.
Golf is business, baby.
You wanted to open
golf course
where you could play ping pong and talk business. It is totally quasi business.
Oh, it's 100%.
Isn't that WeWork
business? I mean, come on, Pete.
Pete was like, I want to buy a warehouse and put in a skee ball and then have meetings in between. Like,
skee ball's lit though. It's just very loud for meetings. Go have a meeting at Dave & Buster's. Let me know how it goes.
Pete, I was giving you credit. I was saying you have to dodge a lot of social.
No, you were subtly jabbing but giving me credit. I see. It was nice.
That's my love language. Subtly jabbing but giving credit.
Yeah, that means. See, I know that like. It's true with me too. This is something that I know about you, Pete. Like the people that I'm not as close with, they're like, you still want to be friendly. You're always friendly. There's never any jabs. But as soon as you get close with someone, like the people I'm closest with are the people I give the most shit to. Like Levitan now, I just talk shit to him nonstop. He just loves it. He eats it up. He laughs all the time. Yeah, like I struggle as like a harmony person to give shit to like people that I'm not close to. So I'm glad you're giving me shit.
Well, we all know deep down our weaknesses and our flaws, and sometimes it's nice to have a friend.
Flaws.
Massive. That's what Lauren. I mean, talk about she just holds up a mirror to it. I think I can get away with all this shit, and then you learn, oh no, I am a piece of shit.
That sounds like Ashley too.
Yes,
and she publicly berates me online too. So there's that.
Yeah, you got it worse in that regard.
I know. Thank God, Lauren's not.
Ashley's mad at me too. Before he came down, she's like, "Oh, you don't read my texts. There's all these like group chats I'm in. My dad's firing off like 200 messages back from." I'm like, "Babe, I got Telegram. I'm trying to keep up here. I'm not purposely ignoring your text." And she's like, "Well, I'm just gonna start going to Twitter then because I know you'll see that." And I'm like,
doing everything you can.
But Lauren's far more active in the group chat with my parents than I am. Like, I'll go days without saying anything. And I was like, just thank God that you're handling this right now.
Yeah. That's 100% the case for me too.
No
alcohol feels good.
I know.
I had a week of just pure binge drinking from being back in North Carolina after Labor Day for a wedding and a bunch of friends hanging out, and it was like 7 days where I don't think I had very much time where we weren't consuming alcohol over that period of time, and it definitely was good about like not going full party DJ mode like we were all back in college truly, but my body was feeling it by the time we got to the wedding, and it was like, oh yeah, I'm looking very much forward to having quite a few sober days after this.
I'm in this weird, I used to be such like an all or nothing guy where I either wanted to have like 8 beers or no beers, and it was easier for me to just be like cold turkey or whatever. And in the past, like, I don't know, year, I've gotten way better at moderation where I can just have 1 drink, 2 drinks, and then just be done. And that's like the muscle I'm still working, where it doesn't feel like I'm depriving myself, but I also just don't need to go ham. And that's been like my big thing I've been working through.
Yeah, see, I thought I had that down too, and that's actually honestly been the last couple of years. I don't think I've had more than like 4 drinks, 5 drinks very often. I mean, occasionally, when you were in town, Pete, for like the ETR party, that's like an example of more than 4 or 5 drinks. But broadly, it's like a couple of glasses of wine with Ashley, 1 or 2 beers. But like you start being like, okay, I'm not drinking that much, and then you just like consistently do it. And the Humor podcast talks about it. Even just like a couple drinks, like that chronic use has a serious impact on your sleep and system. But yeah, I've been mostly going cold turkey. Actually, I went out with Adam and his wife to like one of the best restaurants in Denver and had wine for the first time in like 10 days. But today, everyone was drinking around me, turned it down again. I don't know. I'll get back into a rhythm. Sahil Bloom did a tweet thread on alcohol too. I know he's the ultimate thread guy. Threads are polarizing. Sometimes I like him, sometimes I hate him. But he had a pretty thoughtful one around alcohol. And I think the thing that makes staying away from alcohol a lot easier is when you're working out, and like I'm playing a lot of pickleball, basketball. Feels good to like get better.
You got sucked into this national pickleball trend, Pete. God damn it.
Dude, our whole chat is playing pickleball nonstop. We're genning. It's the best. We're gambling on it. It's amazing.
Dude, I just signed up for this new gym because I moved, so I had to go to one closer to my house. And I did the tour initially, and they're showing me the basketball courts. And then she's like, yeah, but there's only actually like an hour or 2 of open gym now because the rest of the court time is devoted to pickleball. And they said they were getting so many new memberships on people interested in playing pickleball that they've just had to slash the open gym time. And I was like, this has gone too fucking far.
It's not gone too far. Pickleball is massive. And I'm trying to make that.
It's not gone too far.
Pickleball, we're going to start a pickleball country club here. And
I knew you would.
It's going to be great.
Sounds like a membership NFT, Jennings.
I know. I've thought about that. I think it's interesting. It's so localized, though. That's the challenge. But pickleball, indoor, outdoor. You could have like the nice, healthy food section. Then you have a bar. I mean, the bar is going to print money. That's the beauty about pickleball.
It's Equinox for pickleballers.
Drinks, I mean, dude, today at the tennis courts at our gym at Greenwood, where you've been there, Pete. There's like 6 tennis courts, and now there's multiple pickleball courts. The pickleball courts had like people waiting to get on them. There's no one playing tennis. It's insane.
This is the question: is like, how is Pete getting his beak wet on pickleball? I'm sure you made some investment in a board pickleball.
We're at the hockey stick. We're not at the right spot. It's already too far up the hockey stick, so we got to move fast, and we got to think of like a picks and shovels play or something, or capitalize on the tennis stuff. Steve Bass is already like one of the best pickleball players in the country, I think.
Oh, you're saying a transferable skill from one racket sport
being
to
one of the best tennis players in the world to being really good. No one has, dude, they're all old. Like this is okay. I got a really fucking funny story. And sorry, we're going on a tangent here on pickleball, but this is like absolutely all time. So there's a pickleball pro at our gym at Club Greenwood. This guy, Scott. And he walks around, he's giving lessons. Everyone's asking him. He's like the king of the castle, sleeveless shirt, just like the guy who has his head held high, super proud of his pickleball skills. And our buddy's like, hey, Scott, we got this guy coming in, Steve. He played ATP tennis. He's never played pickleball before. Never played before. And he's like, we'll see. I've played some tennis players. It doesn't always translate. Steve plays my buddy Ty first. First time he's ever played. Plays the first game, whatever. They play around. Plays Scott. What do you think the score is with Steve and Scott? They played to 11.
I'm going to guess Bass just absolutely dusted him.
What would you guess the score was?
11-0.
I'm not good with tennis scores, Pete.
11-0. 11-0 is the exact score. The guy's throwing his paddles, pouting, didn't show up to the gym for like days. People said he like called in sick. This guy's pride was absolutely crushed.
Did Bass kill all of
Bass
his
beat him
pickleball
11-0
action?
literally the first day he'd ever played pickleball. He
James,
would just played like one of the best players in the pro at another club, which is really into it. Waxed him.
Well, he fucking beat Levitan with a frying pan. I assume he'd be fine with a pickleball racket.
I mean, it's not exactly the same, but he's like, I think like the best pickleball player in the country right now was like a D3 tennis player. So I think like some of these tennis guys get into it. And Levitan now, with his big tennis ego, is like, oh, the real man sports tennis. I hate pickleball.
You know what he's gonna do? That Levitan used to always say that the God's game was cash, and now what happens? He calls him, King GPP bro. He's gonna be calling himself King Pickleball bro here in about a week. I guarantee it.
100%. He doesn't like it. He's like the only guy who still prefers tennis to pickleball, but it's so fun.
Let's wrap up with an underdog draft. Do you guys want to do a battle royale or a Hail Mary?
Oh, I wish we could. I wanted to do a resurrection, but that takes a little bit longer.
I know. I don't know if I have a 45-minute draft in me.
Let's
I feel like Hail Mary's a good mix.
Let's do Hail Mary. That's fine.
I'm down.
All right.
Oh,
Hail Mary, week 2, 12 teams.
Week 3,
rounds.
buddy.
Week 3, God.
$50 entry.
Is it?
Yeah.
Hail Mary?
Whoa, we kicked up the stakes in week 3.
Oh, baby. I haven't looked at anything, but I'm going to crush this thing. How are you doing on Underdog?
Dude, I don't look at my teams. A watch pot does not boil.
Buddy, those 3 mans I grinded, my 69.6K, we're doing well.
I had a nice finish in the Battle Royale last week.
What's up?
So I had a nice finish in the Battle Royale last week.
What'd you finish?
It was like top 60 or whatever, but for nice little 200.
Was it a Tua?
Oh,
what are you
you guys see all those goals?
No, it was Lamar, but with Waddle.
The whole way down, just smashing these fucking idiots. I mean, I'm just these are 12 man. Let's get more down to the 3 man. Oh yeah, we're just waxing these guys.
Can I actually? I had a question about this. What's the fucking deal with your guys' 3 Donkeys release schedule? I thought you guys were going to do one of those once a week.
I got bad news.
That lasts for a month.
Might be dead.
Maybe what?
3 Donkeys is on a hiatus.
What? You guys just started. You have like 3.5 episodes.
3 weeks in.
Yeah, it's on hiatus.
What do you guys want to learn about work ethic? I'm fucking dragging Club Top Shot through a bear market over here, and you guys just quit after 3 episodes?
Buddy, we're grinding hard over here. Okay?
It's not on the podcast. It's not you. Pete, you'd show up to the opening of an envelope. Levitan's consistent. This has to be a Bales thing.
All right, let's move on from 3 Donkeys here. Please. Who are we taking week 1? Let's look at this.
Wait. Real quick. Going back to the pickleball talk for a minute. Pete's favorite subject. You see that Drew Brees is like an owner of a team, like a professional pickleball team.
Guy's a genius. The guy just collects cash. It doesn't surprise me.
We had one of the players came on. We have actually launched a new pickleball focused show on KOD Media called Pickle Juice, covering all that.
You want to grow your YouTube channel? Dude, look on YouTube how to serve pickleball. You have these dweebs, absolute dweebs that are terrible. Showing like basic pickleball, 2 million views. They're crushing it. Overzet, you could literally like become 10 times more successful exclusively to pickleball. Get shirtless, learn into pickleball. I mean, you're gonna be a star, bro.
Do you know how many things I could do that would be more successful than what I'm doing right now, Pete?
Yeah, but nothing is even close to pickleball.
Pete,
this is actually you found a pretty good niche.
I have an idea for you, Pete.
Okay.
This is for you and Bass. You do basically like the Kyrie Irving Uncle Drew equivalent where you dress Bass up as an old man and you go around the country and challenge geriatrics to pickleball, and then Bass just dusts these old fuckers.
That would be great. That is an awesome idea. And the best thing is it'll be so believable because 90% of people playing pickleball are 55 and older. So Bass can we'll get him looking like he's like 80 years old and just crush people.
Hey, dude,
That's a
are we
great
not
idea.
influencers? Guys, fucking join this
We have to
$50
withdraw
Hail
and go to
Mary
a battle
draft.
royale.
Jesus.
And we are really struggling. We've been here at 5 more. I mean, the $50 entry fee is really struggling.
Well, it was so
Because
it
no
was.
one's done any research. There's no rankings yet.
All
it
right,
was
I'm gonna
last
say
year.
we're gonna put out a tweet here. It's not gonna do
Oh,
anything.
Pete doing the tweet. But I was just
My
gonna say,
tweets are so bad that there's just they don't even matter anymore.
last year in March, it was when the bull run was going, and I did my trip with Lauren. We went down to Hilton Head. It was right, and everyone's like, "This is an awful time to go." Top Shot's pumping. Anyways, it
Yeah, you
was
killed Top Shot.
pickleball. Pickleball was popping down there, but they were fucking retirees. It was 80-year-olds. There were no hipsters, ironically playing a fucking tennis derivative down there. No, it was people who are in God's waiting room and found a game that they love. And now it's just overrun by all these fucking hipsters with their fixed gear bicycles chugging down avocado toast after playing this because they saw it on fucking TikTok. I mean, what the fuck?
Jesus.
Oh.
Come on, people need to get in here.
All right.
9 and 12. All right.
I only have so many pickleball monologues until we fill this thing.
That was good.
Really good. That was good.
Clip it, Clay.
Guys, we can get really rich on pickleball. I'm telling this game. And by the way, the game's not going anywhere. It's so fun and easy. Everyone loves it. A guy played for the first time today. He was pretty bad, but he's like eager to play.
Did you? How now? Is this replacing your golf time, Pete?
Dude, I did not have enough balance this summer. So actually, I've played since September. I maybe played one time. I think played golf. So today I actually went and hit balls for like 30 minutes. But yeah.
Jack, I mean, this kid fucking started a pickleball show on Snapchat. I mean, get
So
the fuck
bullish on pickleball.
Yes.
Jennings, I have
Let's
a bid
get
in.
fucking filthy
for a
rich on
team.
pickleball. I'm over
a-
everything else. Let's just go all in.
Put
And we already got a
together
good
an
content
investor
bit.
group.
Pete just gave the best bit ever. I think Bass
Telling you.
legitimately could become a top 20.
Yo, Pete got the 101 in this shit.
That's right.
We back.
Overzet. Have you
What?
played pickleball?
No, I'm
Yeah.
not even against it. I'm against like ironically liking pickleball.
Pickleball is
Dude,
amazing. The best
You're
part,
gonna play it and you're gonna be addicted.
yeah, the best part is that you can actually play again. Like, yes, this guy probably dusts most people, but like, if you play doubles, it's just like you can play. I can play with my grandmother, and I don't even like dominate her. It's crazy.
This is my problem with it. Do you guys know what else is a fucking great game? Badminton. In 2 years,
Is it?
everyone will discover
Is it?
badminton again and love that. Yes, it's a
Yeah.
great game.
Bass
Croquet.
is that sport too. No surprise.
Your croquette, whatever the fuck.
All right. Well, whoever wants in on my investor group, if we get granted the bid for the Major League Pickleball team, let me know.
Here's a take. Here's a strong take. Pickleball, the league itself and watching it, not that good.
I know.
Oh,
Playing
Well,
pickleball,
Well, it's early,
great.
and there's 3 leagues. No,
It's
a lot of
not
people-
that impressive to watch because it
Okay.
becomes a little dink fest. It's just
Yeah.
it's not that impressive.
No, you're right. A
telling
lot of smart people say the money is in the amateur, not in the
Of
league level.
course.
But I'm sure they'll figure that out.
congratulations to Mike, who became a dad
Congrats, Mike.
during the time we tried to talk about Top Shot and then just talked about binge drinking and pickleball instead.
Here's the recipe for happiness. Don't drink, play pickleball. We figured it out. Crack the code. And yeah, I'm not bullish on the pro leagues as much. Sorry, I know that's a Knights of Degen thing. I get it. I think it's interesting. But I think you should be going into like teaching people. And I do think people would watch. I think what will be more compelling pickleball is watching like celebrities play each other or like people, not non-pros. Because like watching pros plays, it's not that impressive. Like when you watch tennis, I don't know if you guys watched any of the US Open this year. Outrageous how good these play. Like the level of tennis is just becoming so incredible. And I know we've had really good tennis for the last decade with Joker, Nadal, Federer, but these people just keep getting better and better, and it's like remarkable. Pickle, it's hard to like really see elite.
You're
skill.
on a first name basis with pickleball now?
Yeah, pickle. Yeah. Even the emoji in our group chat, I'd say the most common thing in the gym group chat is the pickle emoji. People love it.
Sorry, Ashley. I can't respond to our family group chat because I'm in the pickle group chat right now and it's popping off.
Who would have thought Amal St. Brown would go ahead of Christian McCaffrey here? Or I
Troy,
could be,
what?
or I could do. Yeah, I'm going.
The capital U or Y here in U is very aggressive, but we are drafting a Hail Mary team. It's a week 3 only contest on Underdog. Same format as the Battle Royales, except there's 12 teams instead of 6. And I believe this one is unique because it's $50 and also single entry. So 1 bullet for the bros today.
Damn,
Wow,
drafting against you fish.
Win pickleball in PFPs. I mean,
Damn, bro.
Pete, the fact that Pete doesn't have.
All right, I got another idea. Why don't we just do a 10,000 picture pickleball? We can have these cool pickleballs with all these unique traits, and we'll get rich. There's another idea.
Is it going to have utility, Pete, or is it just going to be a collectible?
No. And then we're going to rug everyone. And we're going to – no, here's what we're going to do. We're going to promise a bunch of utility and then not actually deliver any of the utility and rug everyone.
You pickleball fish, you guys are going to hang your hats on the whims of Gen Z. They're going to get so bored with this fucking game within about 6 weeks, and you guys are going to be left holding the bag, Pete.
No, this game is wildly addicting. I'm telling you, it's incredible. Damn it, I really wanted Hurts. Something wrong with Jonathan Taylor? All right.
Man, we let that guy
thought
stack.
the AJ Brown owner was letting Hurts go by?
I wanted to stack them too, and then he took AJ Brown, but I was going to take him.
That was a great combo.
McCaffrey, but
that's a really Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown. I'm envious of that.
I legit haven't even looked at the matchups yet for this week.
First glance, like there are some juicy games. Like
it's a way better slate than last week.
Look at no one likes running backs anymore.
Who gets chalked up?
Guess who faded all those freaking donkey running backs in the 3-mans? Can you run that clip back? And I was giving away the strat.
Oh yes, Pete. You're highly actionable.
What could go wrong?
No, but like for real though, look at some of these games, like how good these are. Like, I don't know. You got Vegas going up against Tennessee. They just got cooked. Adams bounce back spot. The Minnesota Lions game looks juicy.
Miami,
Philadelphia,
Buffalo.
Washington looks like it could be juicy with both those teams playing kind of up. Some interesting spots.
Miami, Buffalo. It's too expensive to stack.
Yeah, you know it's a great game. I played in Vegas a week and a half ago. Beer pong. How about we bring that back?
That game is ageless. It's perfect, just like pickleball.
It's a great game.
Yeah. Do you grow out of it? Do you grow out of beer pong? Like maybe like in not quite a bit.
I grew out of it.
Of course not.
No, I don't think so. It just gets a little
grow
more
out of
chill,
basketball. No.
You grow out of
golf?
drinking
Absolutely
the beer
not.
out of the cups. Like you grow into playing like water pong, where you're drinking your own beverage of choice and not a communal beer and cup situation. But
wow, so we're this down on Aston Eckler versus the fucking Jags.
Dude, that's a great start for you. Who do you have? Eckler and who?
Cup.
Wow.
And here we're gonna do the full.
Wow.
He can't burn us. He can't burn us 3 weeks in a row.
Wow, you just won. Oh my goodness. Look at that team. Wow.
He can't do it. He can't hurt us 3 weeks in a row. Arthur Smith would not allow it to happen.
Can we just rave about how great Underdog is a little bit?
Pete, I every time I tell you this, we can just organically have a great time on Underdog.
I want like really like bad chills, like just awkward.
Well, you're nailing that. You're nailing it. Bad chills, pickleball, and your Underdog one.
No, I want the like really forced promotion of Underdog.
Next, I already know what's happening. I'm going to get a message from Rudman. He's be like, Underdog Cardio Club is now Underdog Pickleball Club.
Now we're talking. That's a great idea. I'll message him right now. Perfect.
You have to use your phone as the paddle while you're drafting.
Dude, at pickleballs and doubles, you could, draft and kind of play.
Incredible.
The Cardio Club was legit a good idea. I'm sorry. I'm getting a little slap happy here at the end of the night.
No.
No alcohol either.
Yeah.
Pretty embarrassing.
Just Pete loosening up.
Loosening up. Man.
Clay, are you in this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're from the 11.
Yeah. wasn't a fun spot to pick. I'm gonna be honest.
Well, you're gonna be able to get a little double stack here. Juju. You got to take Juju.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Let's hope he doesn't get sniped. But yeah,
Don't worry.
Who are the Chiefs playing this week?
The Colts. So it is kind of an interesting spot for does Jonathan Taylor get enough burn? Colts keep it close enough, or they get blown out, and then Hines is a smash play.
Hines would be a fun galaxy brain in this.
I mean, I'm definitely gonna run Chiefs like Hines line and large field and try to get.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be really interesting to see like what gets really popular this week because there are like so many good games to highlight. Like you can find some really fun just like skinny stacks or double stacks bring back options.
The those of you, I know some people wanted Top Shot content tonight. Send MBL nice messages on Twitter. Tell him you miss him on Club Top Shot and you want him to come back and share his takes.
Top Shot's one of the to be really fair. Like it's one of the projects that I feel best about long term. I mean, I really think they have a ton of capital. It's really interesting the partnerships they have with their leagues and all the stuff we've talked about before. Like, it's really hard to make moves in a bear market, but that's something I'm definitely paying attention to.
Yeah.
Just like all this stuff, like when you think back, like there's going to be another run at some point. Who knows what it'll be? It'll be different, but like it's easy to be bearish when everyone else is bearish and bullish when everyone else is bullish. You got to be contrarian at the right times.
Like when everyone likes pickleball, you become a badminton thought leader.
That's not a horrible idea.
Oh, I think I'm more of a cornhole guy myself.
I mean, Pete, you go through all these paddle. I mean, you went through your racquetball phase. You go through
By
your
the
ping
way,
pong
the
phase.
racquetball is so strong. Ping pong. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you just move on. You just hit it and quit it. These paddles.
Well, I would
you just
actually
move on
like
to the
tennis, but I'm so bad. Pickleball, I'm actually good. I wouldn't say good, but I'm solid.
Yeah, F1 needs to fucking pump out a new series of that Netflix thing to reignite
F1
interest. There's
is
going to be
trending still. That's fine. F1's going to be fine.
There's going to be some pickleball series on Netflix and send this thing to the fucking stratosphere.
It's just not that compelling to watch. Is my only concern. But maybe
it's
Clay,
a big concern.
I'm not. I mean, I personally need to get deeper into the pickleball streets myself, so I don't have the best take.
You like to play, right?
I haven't played before. No.
Oh my gosh.
That's my guy, Clay.
I need to.
Hold strong.
So
far. I need to go jump into one of these games out there with the Brooklyn Park.
Clay, I
streets.
could see you with your fucking 5-inch shorts out there on the Brooklyn courts. I could see it right now.
You know, I'm pulling up in some 5-inch baggies. That's for sure.
Oh man.
Can't be restricted when you're in the pickleball court, I imagine.
No, you cannot.
All right, let's see how we. Pete's got Amonra, JT.
I really
Goddard,
wanted
Thomas,
Kyler. Kyler would have
Yeah.
been a smash at 412. Oh, and I would have been able to double tap Marquise.
Wow.
Oh, and now I'm forced to take the dust ball. That
Take
is Matthew Stafford.
A-Rob and Marquise Brown.
Yeah, but I need a
Or
quarterback.
you could do Stafford and A-Rob. It's probably safer. Uh-oh. Oh,
Shit.
no.
Oh no! You know what? We're gonna just draft Mariota later, anyways.
Okay.
Was that an auto draft?
No,
Oh.
it was clearly as the Lord intended. Let's
Sorry,
get
I
something fun.
almost auto selected my potential. last
Everyone
round pick.
drafts all the. Do we think Mike Evans gets this appealed? Probably not. Let's go back to Elijah Moore. All right, whatever. I hate this draft. I mean,
Dude, your
I was
team's amazing. How do you hate this draft?
Well, because the Kyler Marquise there with the Cooper Cup bring back would have just.
Yeah, that would have been strong. You probably already won it basically at that point.
I know. I know.
There are some good teams. Shout out to Todd's got a good team. Clay's got a good team. Overzet's got a good team.
Pretty crazy. Garrett Wilson going ahead of Elijah Moore. He absolutely should, but it's just crazy how quickly things change.
It was a panic pick. Like I said, I realized I was about to auto my last round pick, and he was my favorite player out of the. My MT would have been nice for some correlation, but I'm looking at some correlation later on. Not super feeling him with Jameis's injury and stuff. Yeah, it is a wild time. I took a lot of Garrett Wilson early on in best or redacted. Sorry. Fun guy.
Yeah.
He looked good last week. He looked
This
spry
is-
out there.
This seems like good value on Tua too to get your Tua stack with Tyreek here in the mid fourth seems nice.
That's a good team.
Is Hardman questionable? Little
I missed that.
got a Q tag going on here. That's kind of interesting.
How much we got up top? 5K. How many entries? 564. All right. Single bullet.
All right, let's do it. Let's double them up. Let's get MVS there.
I like that.
Yeah, it was between him. I also was thinking about Olave with the air yards goat.
Are you going Hines here, Clay?
No, I already got a running back locked up, so I got to get a tight end. But you want to guess who my tight end pick's gonna be?
Sure. You should take Kyle Granson. Little bring back, Clay.
I got a better bring back in mind, buddy.
Oh God. The
Give me a
Taysom
touchdown.
Hill slappies got to you.
Taysom Hill.
It's correlated.
I'm hoping
I mean-
that
Or McCaffrey bring back. Jameis's back's broken. Kamara's out. What are they gonna do?
throw to Michael Thomas.
Who?
Jameis.
I think Taysom is. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not a Taysom slappy by any means, but
I think Jameis is going to play. I had to do it. I
he
mean,
stumbles in the
back-
end zone. It's not terrible for tight end. Like, once Knox is gone, we're touchdown hunting at the tight end position. Are you guys in
I
on
like
Logan
that.
Thomas?
I like this team, Pete. That's a good
That's
team.
fine. It's not great. I didn't like the Michael Thomas pick. My first two picks are solid, though. I do think the Eagles, we have a bunch of bets on the Eagles. I mean, they look so freaking good. That offensive line is
They
just
look
dominant.
amazing.
Yeah.
I do like stacking that Minnesota-Detroit game. That's just a fun game environment.
Yeah. Actually, the stack, I
Target.
mean, some of the secondary pieces I think are quite good in that game. Like, I think it's see Shark, Thielen, some of these guys that Hawkinson maybe that haven't. I mean, everyone's going to want to play Amon-Ra. I mean, I guess Jefferson at a bounce back just makes sense, but
Look how crazy this is. I thought for sure Stafford would go, but if the Cup owner, this is a little piece of alpha. If you have Cup, do not take your quarterback until the last round because no one else wants Stafford.
that's true. That's a good team.
I don't mind it.
I think you have an awesome team. Elijah
I'm sure
Moore,
there's draft
maybe.
boards for these, do they?
Yeah, that's a great team.
Thanks, Peter. Appreciate that.
All right, gents. Good luck to you.
All right, dudes. This was a fun show. Thank you to
It was.
Andy for hopping on, Clay for hopping on, Jennings for doing everything he can. Shout out Mike Robb, who became a father during the stream tonight. Appreciate you. Mike, tell MBL you want to see him back in the club, firing off hot takes, all of that good stuff. Shout out to Underdog. Shit, I just did an inorganic plug of
Yes!
Underdog. Please.
Boom! We're cooking.
And for the love of God, just chill out with this fucking pickleball shit.
Shout out.